Twitter whistleblower, a former security in charge at Twitter, filed a complaint last month with the Department of Justice and Federal Trade Commission accusing the social media giant of cyber security negligence. Peter Zatko alleges grave security problems that he says are a risk to national security and democracy. My colleague Raksha, our social media editor, joins us to tell us more about this particular whistleblower and what his allegations are. Good evening, Raksha. Over to you to tell us what are the concerns and what would be the implications.
Yes, thanks for that, Afrida. Well, yes, Peter Zatko, who is the former head of security at Twitter, has alleged in his complaint that Twitter has definitely never been more cautious about its data protection, about all the laws that it promised the SEC that it would not violate. It has been subject to a lot of other hacking situations. And according to Zatko, who was, again, I'm reminding our viewers, it is not just any disgruntled employee, as Twitter claims it is the case. He was the head of security, so he was tracking everything closely. And in his complaints, he says that Twitter servers run on extremely vulnerable softwares. A teenager had hacked into the Twitter system in 2020 when Jack Dorsey himself had hired him as head of security. And a lot of high-profile accounts have been compromised in the past, such as then U.S. President Donald Trump and then U.S. President Barack Obama, even Elon Musk, the world's richest man. So there are grave concerns. It could be a concern to national security if a president's account is hacked. What he does say is that there is an uncontrolled access to the internal core system of Twitter, which a lot of thousands of employees within Twitter have, which according to him accounts for 60% of the hacking cases that happen at Twitter. Parag Agarwal, Twitter CEO, of course, has said that there is no such thing, and security and privacy is at the core of Twitter's institution as an institution. And of course, what about the spam accounts, also what Peter Zatko has said is that Twitter is not paying enough attention. There is an outdated process that Twitter is using to track spam accounts, and in fact Twitter had incentivized user growth over spam accounts. He says in his complaint that bonuses of $10 million were assigned to executives to just gain more users and ignore whether they are spam or bot accounts.
Points, Raksha, but tell us, Twitter obviously has wrestled with a lot of such data breach instances long before Peter Zatko joined the company. There's been high-profile breaches, which you mentioned, yes, and regulatory fallouts that have broad implications for politics, media, probably financial markets. Can you run us through some major ones?
Yes, of course. In the past, Associated Press tweets were also hacked in the past. That account was hacked, and there were fake tweets that were posted claiming that there is a White House explosion and that then President Obama was injured. So there are, of course, in 2009, the hackers had gained administrative control of certain Twitter users, and the hackers could reset passwords. They could, share user data and send unauthorized tweets also, which has happened in the past. If I go through 2011, there was a Federal Trade Commission settlement that Twitter had reached, a settlement with FTC in 2011 over the 2009 breaches, and they were asked by FTC to create a comprehensive security system. Now, in 2013, about the financial markets, the Dow Jones had nosedived after AP's official account was hacked, and the tweets that I'd earlier mentioned were posted. In 2017, the then U.S. President Trump's account was deactivated for 11 minutes by a disgruntled Twitter employee. In 2018, a Twitter bug left login credentials visible in its internal systems. Now, this is the kind of internal system access which is called God mode within the Twitter office, is what exactly Peter Zatko was talking about. In 2018, 330 million plus users were asked to reset their passwords because all those accounts were compromised. In 2019, Twitter mishandled email IDs and phone numbers. Now, this is private information which, of course, we share with Twitter because we need to authenticate our accounts. But we can clearly see this was not safe with Twitter. In 2019, that data was used to target Twitter ads, which is exactly what is the pivot on which the Twitter and Elon Musk saga currently rests. Spam accounts and whether he gets value for money if he ends up buying Twitter. Because for target ads, right, if the accounts are fake, then it makes no sense for an Elon Musk to invest that kind of money. In 2022, regulators fined Twitter $150 million because the 2011 agreement was breached. One very important thing also that Zatko mentioned, which is of concern to Indian users especially, is that in his complaint, he says that Indian government agents were voluntarily allowed to be set up within the Twitter office so that they could have easy access.
Very, very important. And that particular update, yes, that is something that we had shared with our viewers. It came in late last evening, something extremely concerning, that this is the level of vulnerability when it comes to data protection. Thanks, Raksha, for joining us with all the latest inputs.